Morning always carries something pure that we often miss. It is the moment when the world is still quiet, the mind is still soft, and the heart has not yet tightened because of all the things it must worry about. In those few slow seconds, we have the chance to enter the new day in a different way, a gentler way, a more peaceful way. Morning is like a bridge between what has passed and what is coming. If you step onto that bridge with hurry, you carry the feelings of yesterday with you. But if you step onto it with awareness, you give yourself a new chance to adjust, to choose again, and to begin from clarity. No one teaches us how to start a morning the right way. We open our eyes and jump up, letting unfiltered thoughts pull us along. But morning does not need noise. Morning only needs a small moment for you to realize that you are still here, still present in this life, and you have the full right to shape this day in a better direction. There is a simple truth. The morning mind is like still water. Just one small thought can create ripples that spread through the whole day. If the first thought is worry, the day becomes loud. If it is anger, the day becomes heavy. But if the first thought is peace, everything else naturally becomes lighter. Not because life changes, but because the way you enter it has changed. Morning is also the time when the mind listens most easily. Before you are pulled into conversations, before you are drawn into tasks, inside you there is a small space wide enough to receive something kind. When you give yourself a few seconds to pause, you create space for yourself. Space to breathe, space to feel, space to place a gentle intention into the day. And that moment is the beginning of all the peace you are seeking. Today I want to invite you to step into your morning in a different way, not rushed, not forcing yourself to be strong, simply recognizing that you are starting a new day, and that you are here, whole, present, and worthy of this softness. When you allow yourself to begin just a little slower, you are writing the first sentence of the day with a bright energy, and you have every right to do that. Morning always offers us a very quiet reminder. A reminder that if we do not pay attention, we will pass by without noticing. It is an invitation to pause for 1 minute, just 1 minute, yet it has the power to change the rhythm of the whole day. This invitation is not loud, not urgent, not commanding. It arrives in the silence of early morning, when the first light touches the room, when the space is still soft like a blank sheet of paper. In that moment, you can choose to let your mind run toward everything you must do, or you can choose to pause and listen to yourself. Pausing is not avoiding the new day. It is welcoming it with awareness. Pausing to recognize the rhythm of life moving inside you. When you pause for 1 minute, you see how many things around you have always been there, but you never noticed. Maybe it is the warmth of the blanket, the smell of coffee from the kitchen, the faint sounds of the morning, or simply your own breath. 1 minute of pausing creates a small space for you to connect with yourself before you connect with the world. This space is not distance, it is return. In 1 minute of pausing, you see clearly what you are carrying. A bit of tiredness, a bit of worry, a bit of expectation, or a bit of new hope, all gently recognized without judgment. When you pause, you also give your mind a golden chance to rearrange your thoughts. What matters will naturally rise. What does not will naturally settle. You do not need much effort, only 1 minute. 1 minute for the morning to bring you back to your natural balance. In that same minute, you realize that you do not need to enter the day in a dragged along state. You can enter the day with intention. When you pause, you step into the day as someone awake, not someone being swept away. And this sense of intention becomes the foundation of a peaceful day. 1 minute of pausing is also a way to remind yourself that you have value. a value that comes from treating yourself with kindness. When you allow yourself to slow down, you are telling yourself that you deserve care. You deserve a bright morning and a light mind. You deserve to begin the new day with clarity instead of pressure. Morning does not ask you to be perfect. It only asks you to be present, to allow yourself to show up in that first moment of the day. 1 minute of pausing will not change your whole life, but it will change the way you step into your life today. And sometimes that alone is enough to make everything a little brighter. Finally, before we move to the next part, I want to ask you something simple. This morning, have you given yourself 1 minute to pause? Thank you for being here and listening to this moment. There are mornings when you can feel clearly that your mind is running faster than your body. Thoughts that have not yet connected, feelings that have not yet been named, worries that have not yet taken shape. All of them rush into the new day like a fast-moving stream. But if you pay close attention, you will notice that beneath that rushing water there is always a calmer layer. That layer is stillness. Stillness is not something you must create. It is already within you. It is only hidden by the noise of life. When you pause for a minute, as we did in the previous part, you touch this stillness. And when you touch it, something strange happens. Everything begins to return to its natural rhythm. The human mind is like a room. When too many things are thrown into it at once, the room becomes messy, uncomfortable, and crowded. But when you remove just a few things, the space immediately becomes easier to breathe in. Stillness is that act of clearing. It does not solve every problem, but it gives the mind enough space to breathe. A bit of morning stillness can soften what has hardened inside you. Fear becomes smaller, worry becomes lighter, pressure loses its sharpness. Not because these things disappear, but because you enter a state calm enough to see them with different eyes. When you touch stillness, you also open a new kind of listening, a way of listening that is no longer controlled by outside noise. You hear your thoughts more clearly. You hear what you truly want. You hear small signals you usually ignore because you are rushing. And sometimes just hearing yourself a little more clearly is enough to change the direction of your whole day. Stillness also helps you see what is taking up too much space in your mind. Is there something you are carrying that no longer needs to be carried? Is there an emotion repeating itself that you have not taken the time to understand? Is there a relationship that feels tense and you want to soften it? When the mind becomes quiet, answers begin to appear gently. No pressure, no rush, no demand for strength, just showing you what truly matters. When you touch stillness, you also give yourself back the power of choice. The choice of a rhythm that suits you. The choice of the attitude you bring into the day. The choice of what is allowed to stay in your mind and what should be released. And this sense of choice is what makes you feel lighter. When a new day begins with stillness, your mind feels reset, your breath becomes steadier, your emotions settle, your thoughts become clearer. You no longer step into the day being pulled along, you step into it knowing where you are going. And that is the foundation for each morning, to become a little brighter, a little more peaceful, and much kinder to yourself. When stillness begins to spread inside you, you will realize something important. You are not only slowing the mind, you are returning to yourself, returning to your true feelings, returning to the part of you that you often do not touch all day because you are too busy. Morning is the rare time when your mind has not been influenced by anyone, not weighed by the expectations of others, not swept away by the rhythm of life. In that moment, you can see inside yourself more clearly than at any other time of the day. This is not self-judging, not analyzing whether you are right or wrong. It is simply a small meeting with yourself, A meeting that needs no words, only presence. When you turn inward, you begin to sense the layers of emotion that for many hours, or even many days, you have had no time to understand. Maybe you are more tired than you think. Maybe you are a little sad but have not allowed yourself to admit it. Maybe you are hoping for something but trying to appear strong. These emotions become heavy when they are unseen, but when you pause to acknowledge them, they become lighter. Because emotions only need one thing: to be recognized. Mourning is when the human heart is the softest. Soft not because it is weak, but because it is honest. This is the time when you connect most deeply with what is truly happening inside you. When you know clearly what you are carrying, you walk into the day with clarity. You are not led by vague emotions. You know what you need, you know where you are going, and you know what in this day will require your gentleness. When you return to yourself, you also begin to see clearly the things that have been difficult for too long. Not to blame yourself, but to release a little. Perhaps you are trying to please too many people. Perhaps you are holding yourself together to appear fine. Perhaps you are taking on responsibilities beyond your current strength. The mourning mind helps you see these things with honesty, but without judgment. And this honesty creates a way out. When you return to yourself, you also return to your sense of choice. You know what needs to continue and what needs to stop. You know what you do out of love and what you do out of fear. You know what you truly want to nurture and what is only draining your energy. This clarity is not loud, not philosophical, not demanding immediate change. It simply places a truth gently in your hands. You have the right to live a day that fits you better. You have the right to let your heart breathe. When you turn inward in the morning, you are caring for the deepest part of yourself, the part that makes you who you are, the part that is always waiting for your attention. And this care is what helps you step into the new day with fuller, calmer, truer energy. Before we move on to the next part, I want to invite you to leave a comment. Just the number 1 is enough, so I know you are truly present in this moment. Thank you for listening. When you have returned to stillness and begun to touch yourself again, the morning becomes an open space, open for you to breathe, open for you to reflect, and open for you to connect with something larger than yourself. In that quiet moment, a morning prayer can reach the heart in a very gentle way, not forcing, not expecting, simply inviting you to place a small intention into the new day, like lighting a soft glow within you. Now let me read you a morning prayer. You do not need to try to believe anything. You do not need to follow a ritual. Just let your heart soften and listen. If one line touches you, receive it. If not, you may let it pass. A morning prayer is not meant to make you perfect. It is only meant to make you a little more peaceful. Dear Lord, or whatever source of peace the listener turns to, I offer this morning to you. Please let my mind be still, let my thoughts become clear, and let my heart soften before the things I cannot control. Please give me enough awareness to recognize what truly matters today, and enough gentleness to not get caught in the small things. Please let me know how to pause when my heart becomes too full. Let me know how to breathe when emotions become heavy. Let me know how to return to myself when I am pulled too far away. Please give me a peaceful spirit to step into the new day with confidence and softness. And please remind me that I do not need to be strong all the time. I only need to be honest with myself. Please let me see the small opportunities hidden in this day, not the big things, but the simple ones that warm the heart. A good conversation, a moment of deep breathing, a ray of light through the window. Please give me enough quiet to notice these small gifts. Please give me the wisdom to release what I cannot hold. Please give me the courage to face what I need to change. And please give me the patience to keep walking, little by little, without blaming myself too much. This morning, I place my steps on the path of peace. Please let me enter the day with clarity. Please let me choose what is good for my mind and what is gentle for my heart. Please remind me that I deserve this peace, not because I am perfect, but because I am trying to live each day in a kind and truthful way. If something today worries me, please give me a wide enough view so I am not swept into it. If something tires me, please let me know when to stop. If something makes me tense, please let me choose one breath to soften it. And finally, please let me remember that today is a new day, a chance to live slower, deeper, and kinder with myself. Amen. Or any ending that suits the belief of the listener. After the prayer has lightly touched your heart, you may feel a soft space opening inside. Not the space of loss, but the space of rearranging, of placing everything back into its natural position. Morning is the best time to do this because the mind is soft and receptive. In this moment, you can choose what stands first in your mind today, not through forced reasoning, but through simple awareness. You can choose to place worry first, then the whole day will revolve around what makes you uneasy. You can choose to place responsibility first, then you will easily fall into a state of running and forget that you are living. But you can also choose to place peace first. When peace goes first, everything else naturally steps back and becomes easier to handle. Peace is not avoidance. Peace is the foundation that helps you see clearly and make decisions from a brighter place. This is why morning matters so much. Not because you must accomplish many tasks, but because morning is when you decide the inner material of the entire day ahead. If that material is peace, you will feel a kind of energy that is soft but steady, not loud but unwavering. It helps you handle things without being swept away. It helps you keep a part of yourself, no matter how fast the outside world moves. Sometimes we forget this simple truth. Peace does not appear on its own. It comes when you choose it. It stands in the first place when you place it there. After a soft prayer, that peace feels like water flowing into the heart. Not fast, not strong, just spreading slowly, softening the rough corners left from yesterday. When you allow peace to stand first, you no longer face the new day in a defensive state. You face it with listening. You no longer feel the need to be strong. You feel supported from within. And that feeling helps you move through the day with a different rhythm. Today you can choose to let peace be the first voice in your mind. The voice that reminds you that you do not need to react to everything. You do not need to hold every burden. You do not need to explain every emotion. You only need one long breath and let the clarity of the morning guide you. When peace stands first, small things no longer drain you. Big things are seen with less tension, and you become more like yourself, lighter, clearer, freer. Before we move to the next part, I want to ask you something. If you could choose one thing to place first in your mind this morning, what would it be? Leave your answer in the comments. I am grateful that you are here and walking through each moment with me. When you let peace stand first in your mind, something very natural begins to happen. You start to see the morning with different eyes. You no longer see it as the rushed opening of a long day you must endure, but as an opportunity to choose your direction again. Each morning is like a new page, carrying no trace of yesterday, unless you write the old memories onto it. We often think we need a big event, a special moment, or an important decision to earn the right to begin again. But the truth is the opposite. Life gives you the privilege to begin again every morning. You do not need to wait for a special day. You do not need to wait for everything to be perfect. Morning itself is the reminder that you are allowed to live lighter than you did yesterday. Morning does not ask what you did wrong, does not ask what you missed, does not ask whether you were strong enough the day before. Morning asks only one thing: who do you want to be today? That is the question that truly matters. When you understand this, half of your pressure melts away. You do not need to carry your entire past on your shoulders to enter the new day. You can step into it with only what you choose to bring. If yesterday you were tired, this morning you can choose to be lighter. If yesterday you were disappointed, this morning you can choose to open again a little. If yesterday you were irritated, this morning you can choose to soften. You do not need to become a completely different person. You only need to become a calmer version of yourself. Something very strange happens when a person realizes they have permission to begin again. They stop fearing what has passed. They stop feeling stuck inside themselves. They look at the future with eyes no longer covered by old disappointment. And this sense of freedom is what truly changes a life, not forced effort. Morning is also when hope grows most easily. Before you are affected by hurried information, by demands from outside, or by unexpected events, hope has space to rise. Even a small hope is enough to help you breathe more freely. Maybe the hope to be more gentle. Maybe the hope to be more patient. Maybe the hope to treat yourself with kindness. You do not need a grand hope. A small ray of light is enough. Each morning is an invitation to remind yourself. You do not have to repeat exactly what you did yesterday. You do not have to carry what makes you heavy. You have the right to choose differently. Even a tiny change is enough. Even if the outside world does not change, one small shift inside can make everything brighter. Today, as you enter this morning, remember that you do not need to restart your whole life. You only need to restart this moment. And sometimes this very moment is where real change begins. After you understand that each morning is an opportunity to begin again, you will see that change does not need to be loud or grand. Sometimes just one small action is enough to guide the whole day into a different rhythm. Morning is the perfect time to place a light action into your mind, one that spreads softly yet powerfully, not to prove anything, but to remind you that you are present in this new day with intention and awareness. A small action in the morning is like placing a bright stone in the palm of your hand, tiny yet full of direction. Today, I want to invite you to try a very simple action. Stand in front of the mirror and smile at yourself for exactly 1 second. Just 1 second. You do not need to pretend to be happy. You do not need to create emotion. You do not need to perform anything complicated. You only need to let your face soften and smile in the most natural way you can. This action may seem small, even strange at first, but it does something important. It helps you see yourself from a gentler angle. When you smile at yourself, you are sending a quiet message to your mind that you deserve kindness, you deserve care, you deserve to begin the day with softness instead of self-blame. 1 second of smiling is not meant to turn you into an unrealistic optimist. It simply reminds you that you and the world do not always need to be in opposition. Morning can begin with tenderness, and if that tenderness comes from you, it will follow you through the day. Smiling is also a quick way to reconnect with yourself. You do not need to think much. You do not need to analyze. You do not need a long meditation. Just a tiny moment is enough to shift your direction. And the interesting thing is this small action can influence how you respond to the world all day. When you begin with a soft expression, your mind cannot harden immediately. When you treat yourself gently, you naturally treat others gently too. Conversations soften. Pressures feel lighter. All of it begins with 1 second in the morning. If you do not like smiling, you can choose another action. Place your hand on your chest and take a deep breath. or write a short line on paper like "I choose peace," or simply open the window and let the light touch your face for a few seconds. Whatever the action is, what matters is presence. It is reminding yourself that today you have the right to set the foundation for a gentle day. This small action is not to make you become someone else. It is simply to help you start the day with better material. And sometimes that alone is enough to guide the whole day into a more peaceful direction than you expect. Before we move to the next part, I invite you to leave a comment. You can write, "I am ready to change," or simply the number 1, just so I know you are truly here in this moment. Thank you for being here. Throughout this morning you have passed through stillness, through recognition, through prayer, and through a small action. By now the mind is softer, clearer, and more receptive. This is the perfect moment to plant inside a simple rule of the mind. A rule you can carry through the day, one that does not require effort to remember yet can guide your emotions and the way you respond to life. The rule of the mind today is this: the first thing you place into your mind each morning creates the material for the whole day. The morning mind is like still water. Just one small drop can create ripples that travel far. If the first drop is pressure, the whole day will move in a tense rhythm. If the first drop is hurry, you will find yourself chasing everything. But if the first drop is peace, the ripples will soften, become gentler, kinder to you. We often think our emotions depend on what happens outside, but most of the time they do not. They depend on the state from which we begin. It is like leaving the house with shoes that squeeze your feet. No matter how beautiful the road is, it is hard to feel comfortable. But if the shoes are spacious and light, even a difficult path feels easier. The mind works the same way. The material you begin with shapes the way you see the world. This rule does not ask you to control everything. It only reminds you of an anchor. You cannot decide how every event of the day will unfold, but you can decide the first ripple in your mind. You can choose a kind thought to begin with. Something like, "I want peace," or "I allow myself to be lighter," or simply, "Today I want to live a little slower." These lines are not meant to change your whole life. They only adjust the direction of the wind inside you. A small shift is enough for the inner boat to travel in a different path. This rule also frees you from feeling passive. Your emotions are no longer dictated by sudden events of the day. You choose the material first. You plant the first ripple. And when the world arrives with information, tasks, conversations, or surprises, you still keep a root of peace inside. You may sway, but you are not carried away completely. Practicing this rule is very simple. Each morning before looking at your phone, before responding to anyone, before thinking of what you must do, place one gentle thought into your mind. It does not need to be fancy. It does not need to be strong. It only needs to be true. One kind thought can be the foundation for the whole day. And when you do this consistently, your mind learns to return to this starting point each morning, like a healthy habit. When you remember this rule, you remind yourself that you do not need to race with life. You can let life follow your pace. This pace does not need to be fast. It does not need to be forceful. It only needs to be true to you. And the first thing you plant in the morning is how you choose that pace. When you have walked with yourself from the early breaths of the morning, through stillness, through recognition, through prayer, and through the rule of the mind, you arrive now at the final part of the morning. This is not an ending. This is the doorway that opens into the whole day ahead. And the beautiful thing is that you step through this doorway with a mind brighter, lighter, and more peaceful than when you began. Morning always acts like a transition space, a place not fully belonging to last night, yet not fully belonging to the new day. In this space, you have more choices than you realize. You can choose the emotions you want to carry. You can choose the pace you want to walk. You can choose what you want to prioritize. And most importantly, you can choose how you will treat yourself throughout the day. No one can promise that the day will unfold exactly as you hope. There may be moments that make you sad. There may be things that drain you. There may be situations you cannot control. But what this morning reminds you is that you are not entering the day passively. You are entering it with inner preparation, a preparation that is quiet, humble, and deeply powerful. The power of clarity, the power of peace, the power of knowing what you are choosing for yourself. Today, you do not need to be perfect. You only need to be present. You do not need to be strong all the time. You only need to be soft enough to hear your own feelings. You do not need to answer every question of life. You only need to take each step with awareness. When you walk with peace, you avoid the hurriedness that hurts you. When you walk with clarity, you see the path more clearly. And when you walk with gentleness, you bring lightness to yourself and to those around you. Remember that you are not walking alone. Even if you feel lonely or are facing something difficult, there is always a source of support within you. It may come from your faith, from the stillness you have nurtured, or from the moments you spend returning to your own heart. Whatever it is there, quiet, steady, always waiting for you to come back. Today, carry this gentleness like a light jacket. Wear it as you step into your work. Bring it with you when you face pressure. Hold it close when you feel lost. This jacket of peace does not make you weaker, it makes you brighter. And this brightness is what helps you stand steady in every situation. Before we finish, I want to offer you a blessing that is slow, soft, and bright. I wish you a gentle day. I wish you the ability to listen to your heart. I wish you enough calm to face the hard things, and enough clarity to notice the beautiful things. I wish you to walk with the trust that you deserve a peaceful day no matter what happens. Thank you for walking with me to the end of this morning journey. And if this morning has given you even a little warmth, a little clarity, or a little lightness, I am deeply grateful.